You're good to start.
Thank you. All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the December 8th, 2021 full board meeting of Manhattan Community Board 6. My name is Kyle Athiad, and I am the chair of the Thank you. Do we have everyone on mute? All right, just want to make sure. All right, I'm Kyle Athiad, and I'm the chair of CB6. This meeting is being called to order at 7:03 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by Secretary Matt Bondi, District Manager Jesus Perez, Assistant District Manager Brendan Berth, and Community Associate Alexandra Crawford. Before we begin, in order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. First, no one can speak until granted the floor. 2, CB6 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom before speaking. 3, the chat function should not be used for CB6 business or questions about agenda topics. Any and all such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information such as an email address or link that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. Next, when a member is given the floor to speak, I, as the chair, will identify you, and you can then unmute yourselves so that you can speak. We are required by New York State law to have a transcript of this meeting, so please keep all questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. And to the members of the public who are in attendance, if you wish to give remarks during the public session and have not already registered by filling out the form on the CB6 website ahead of time, you can register to speak in the public session by using the Q&A feature of Zoom and posting your name, affiliation, and what specific topic you wish to speak about. This needs to be done by 7:15 p.m. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office, was posted online, and appears on the screen before you. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Board members, if you object to adopting the agenda, please raise your hand through Zoom. All right, seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. And now I'll turn it over to the secretary for attendance.
Thank you, Kyle. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, we will now take attendance by roll call. Board members, you can unmute yourselves and answer present when your name is called. Kyle Athiad.
Present.
Asia Abadi.
She's excused.
Thank you. Neil Barkley.
Present.
Martin Barrett.
He's excused as well.
Okay. Elvie Barroso.
Present.
Claire Brennan.
Present.
Jim Collins. Jim.
Oh, he's excused as well.
Okay. Stuart Deser.
Present.
Michael Devereaux.
Present.
Dan Devine. Dan? Okay, Beatrice Disman.
Present.
Richard Eggers.
Present.
Jeannie D'Onofrio.
Present.
Charles Fernandez.
Present.
Eric Goldberg.
Present.
Andrew Gross. Andrew? Okay, Adam Hartke. Adam? Okay, Molly Hollister.
Here.
Paige Judge. Paige will be joining us in a little bit if she's not already here. Oh. John Keller.
Present.
Abigail Cruzmark.
Present.
Thank you. Sandra Letoff.
Left off here.
I'm sorry,
That's
left
okay.
off. And forgive me, everybody else, if I've gotten your name wrong. Anton Malner.
Here.
Okay, thank you, Anton. Kavitha Matthew.
Present.
Sandra McKee.
Present.
Wells Magali. Wells? Okay, Richard Mintz.
Present.
Philip Napolitano. Philip? Raj Nayar.
Present.
Thank you, sorry. Kevin O'Keefe.
Present.
Stephen O.
Present.
Reshma Patel.
Present.
Matt Roberts.
Present.
Gene Santoro.
He's excused.
Lawrence Scher.
Present.
Ann Seligman.
Here.
Lou Sapersky.
Yo.
Seema Shah.
Present.
Sean Sherman.
Yes.
Present.
Sandro Sherrod.
Present.
Letty Simon.
Present.
Susan Steinberg.
Present.
Anju Suresh.
Present.
Mark Thompson.
Present.
Karen Vanderdonk. Corinne?
Present.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Van Nieuwenhoven. Brian?
Present.
Okay. Maura Wong.
Present.
Okay, Ronnie White.
Present.
Thank you. And Claude Winfield. Claude? All right, well, we have a quorum. Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. I have asked all of our elected officials to send over their reports ahead of time so that we can compile them. You can find all of the reports that were submitted by our elected officials on the CB6 website. The link to the reports was disseminated ahead of time to all board members and the general public, and for your convenience can be found in the chat below. I will now call on each of the elected officials who have RSVP'd so that they can take questions from CB6 members and the public about their pre-submitted reports. Each elected official will have 1 minute to field questions. If there are no questions, we will move to the next elected official on our list. If an elected official has a time-sensitive matter to report on that didn't make it into the pre-submitted report, they will have 3 minutes to do so. During this part of the meeting, we will also hear from government agency representatives who have requested to address the board tonight. So first up, we have Borough President Brewer. Has she joined us yet, Brian, or will she be joining us later?
She'll be joining in a bit.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Next up, we have Senator Hoylman.
Hi, folks. This is Sam Vasquez from Senator Hoylman's office. The senator unfortunately can't make it tonight, but I am here on his behalf, and I'm happy to answer any questions or take any concerns.
Thank you, Sam. Are there any questions for Senator Hoylman's office? All right, seeing none. Thank you very much, Sam. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Assembly Member Epstein. Is the Assembly Member here?
Hello, my name is Joanne. I'm from Assembly Member Epstein's office. Assembly Member Epstein may be joining us. Can we please be passed on until
Sure.
we see who's attending? Thank you.
No problem. All right, next up, we have Ling Jun from District Attorney Vance's office.
Hello, everyone. This is Lin Jun from the DA's office. I don't have any more updates other than my report. I can take any question.
Great, thank you, Ling Jun. Are there any questions for the District Attorney's office? All right, seeing none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And just a reminder to all of the representatives, if you could also include your email contact information in the chat so that if anyone does have a follow-up, that they can reach out to you. Thank you. Next up, we have Councilmember Rivera's office. Are we joined by Katie tonight?
Hi,
Hey.
thank you all so much for having me. Councilwoman Rivera, unfortunately, is at an emergency meeting with a beloved small business in the district and can't make it tonight, but she wants to wish everybody a happy holiday, whether it just passed or you're celebrating coming up, and a very happy new year as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie. Are there any questions for the council member's office? All right, seeing none. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Alex from Assemblymember Court's office.
Hi, everyone. I just really quickly wanted to say thank you to all the CV6 state electeds because they've all signed on to the Assembly Members Challenging Wrongful Convictions Act, which, as the name implies, would make it easier to overturn a wrongful conviction in state court. I won't get too far into the weeds, but if you want to learn more, please reach out. Happy to take questions, and that's all from me.
Awesome, thank you. Are there any questions for Assemblymember Court's office? All right, seeing none. Thank you very much, Alex. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Of course. Next up, we have Brees from Assemblymember Gottfried's office.
Thanks very much. Assemblymember Gottfried does just want to wish everyone happy holidays and a happy new year. He looks forward to hitting the ground running in January and working promptly and effectively to make sure that community boards continue to be able to meet remotely after January 15th. So it's going to be a top priority, and he did ask me to pass that on. He was very pleased that the START Act was signed into law on November 16th by the governor. That law will help trafficking victims of trafficking readapt to society and start their lives afresh. Thanks very much, and season's greetings to everyone.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for Assemblymember Gottfried's office? All right, seeing none. Thank you so much, Brees. Shit. Next up, we have Councilmember Powers' office. Patrick, are you here?
Hi, Kyle. Yes, I'm here.
Hey. Awesome. All right, are there any questions for Councilmember Powers' office? I see a question from Eric. Eric, go ahead.
Thanks, Kyle. Patrick, I was just curious if you had an update. I know there's been a lot of conversation about a pending legislation for limit class size in K-12 schools. It has about 41 co-sponsors, and I know there's been back and forth on whether or not it'll make it to the floor for a vote this session. Just curious if you have any update on what the council member's doing or status for us.
I can definitely look into that and get back to you offline and provide an answer to the community board as well so that they can share that with everyone. But I don't have an answer for you right now, but I can definitely look into that. I'll put my email in the chat, and I can connect with you offline and get you an answer to that question.
All right, thank you very much, Patrick.
Looks like he might be frozen. Oh.
Yeah. Seema, I saw your hand up. Was that accident, or do you have a question or comment?
Nope, raised it by mistake.
Okay, no problem. Are there any further questions for Councilmember Powers' office? All right, seeing none, thank you very much, Patrick.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.
You as well. Next up, we have Madeline from Senator Kruger's office.
Hi, CV6. It's Madeline Grimaldi from Senator Kruger's office. I'm excited to be returning from maternity leave. I'm glad you all got to work with Artie, who's new to Team Kruger. Senator Kruger is also working hard as she prepares to return to Albany for the legislative session that begins in January. And she thanks CB6. She hopes to be, along with her Chief of Staff, Brad Usher, at the Health and Human Services Committee meeting tomorrow to talk marijuana. So thank you for having her. Happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Madeline. Welcome back and congratulations on the baby.
Thank you.
Yes. We have a question from Rich. Rich, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to ask whether we know anything about plans to renew the eviction moratorium, which expires on January 22nd.
I don't have a real answer for you on that, but I can certainly ask Senator Krueger and her housing staff and get back to you.
I would appreciate it if you would follow up either with me or with the office.
Sure.
Thank you. We also have John. John, go ahead.
Yeah, I just let me get to my notes here. There is a bill before the states that's passed the state Senate and the state assembly related to the funding of schools for special ed kids who are not, which schools are not part of the DOE itself. The Senate bill number S6516A and Assembly bill number A0813. They both pass, I'm told, anonymously. They are appointed unanimously. And their point is to assure that approved private residential or non-residential schools that provide special services for students with disabilities will receive statewide appropriations at the same level as the general support for public schools. They now get paid 3% less, I believe. Is there any sense at all as to whether the governor is going to sign this bill, or has she given any indications on that regard?
Great question. I'm not sure. I can look into it. I think I got the bill number S6516A, you said?
Yes, yeah, 6516A, yeah.
Okay, I can
Right.
see if we have an inclination on that.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Are there any further questions for Senator Krueger's office? All right, seeing none. We'll now move on to Bobby from the Parks Department.
Good evening, everyone. Just want to make 3 quick announcements. 2 events that we have coming up on December 11th. This Saturday, we have a holiday watercolor card painting event for families. Families can create their own holiday card. Next Friday, the 17th, from 7 to 9 p.m., we're going to be showing a family holiday movie, The Nutcracker and the Four Realms. So just remember, if you're coming to that, you do need to have proof of vaccination. And finally, just wanted to remind everyone that we still have the free membership until December 31st of this year. Anyone that gets a membership by then, they get a free 1-year full membership, good to any of the parks recreation centers in New York City. That's all I have for today. Just wanted to wish everyone a happy holidays, happy New Year. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
All right, thank you, Bobby. Are there any questions for Bobby? All right, none. Thank you very much, Bobby.
Thank you, guys.
All right, is Assemblymember Epstein here yet, Joanna?
He may not be attending, so I can proceed. Thank you, Kyle. My name is, again, Joanna. I'm from Assemblymember Harvey Epstein's office. This year for November, we had our 4th successful turkey drive. Also, Assemblymember Epstein was in Albany last week to take testimony to 2 important hearings on the impact of COVID-19 on the future of higher education and climate change. In addition to this, we also have, constituents can feel free to take our 2022 constituent survey. I can gladly put that on the chat as well. If anybody has any questions or concerns, feel free to contact our office. And thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Joanna. I see we have a hand from John.
Yes, I'm going to ask the same question that I just asked of the representative from Liz Krueger's office. In this case, it's Assembly Bill number A813. And once again, the point of the bill is to ensure that approved private residential or non-residential schools that provide special services for students with disabilities receive statewide apportionments at the same level as the general support for public schools. And I was wondering from the Assembly's perspective, which also I am told passed this bill unanimously, whether there's any indication that the governor intends to sign it, or has there been any communication from the governor's office on it?
Okay. Thank you for your question, Mr. Keller. I can gladly take down your information, and I can forward your question to our legislative liaison, Jackson Fisher Ward, and he can get back to you with further information.
Sure, that would be
Great.
wonderful. There's a lot of interest among advocates for kids with special needs on this question.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Keller.
Great, thank you, John. Are there any further questions for Assemblymember Epstein's office? All right, seeing none, thank you, Joanna.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, everyone.
Right, we'll now move to the public session. Jesus, has anyone signed up to speak in the public session?
Hi, Kyle. Yes, quite a few people have. So we'll get right to it. Our first speaker is Catherine Trapani, who is the Executive Director of Homeless Services United. She wishes to speak to the board in support of the new Providence ULURP application that's on tonight's agenda. Ms. Trapani, you will have 3 minutes to state your remarks. You may begin.
Thank you so much, everyone, for allowing me to speak this evening. As stated, my name is Catherine Trapani. I'm the Executive Director of Homeless Services United, and we are a coalition of mission-driven nonprofit agencies serving homeless and at-risk adults and families in New York City, and we promote effective solutions to end the crisis of homelessness in New York. Our member agencies operate hundreds of programs, including shelters, drop-in centers, food pantries, eviction prevention programs, and outreach services. Our strength is in the collective wisdom and expertise of our membership, organizations that ensure the city upholds its legal and moral obligation to provide shelter to everyone who needs it in New York City, while also working tirelessly to ensure that as few New Yorkers as possible will ever need our help. As someone who leads this organization, and as someone who has lived half a block away from a stabilization bread program for chronically homeless adults for several years, I know that well-run and properly planned and maintained shelters make good neighbors. And for this reason, I hope you vote to recommend that the city's disposition of the current shelter site to project renewal, and therefore allow the new Providence Project to move forward. The current building is poorly designed and in need of upgrades. This project will rebuild the shelter from scratch with a design that supports safety, security, and dignity for residents and neighbors. Ground floor services will make things accessible. Wide hallways will create safety, easy flow through the space, and good sight lines. There will be outdoor space away from the street level where residents can safely recreate and socialize. The difference that client-centered design makes is transformative for both clients and neighbors. Having spaces that are welcoming and efficient make residents more comfortable, enhance access to and utilization of services, and promotes better outcomes. Simple things like improving flow can make it easier for clients to engage with services and move forward with their permanency plans. Neighbors notice, or rather, usually don't notice, these efficiencies because residents who feel comfortable in shelters and have safe places to socialize, they treat the building much more like anyone else treats their home, making these facilities blend well into the neighborhood. This project will not only deliver this improved experience for clients and neighbors already using or living near New Providence, but it will allow a rare chance to build new housing to meet the permanent housing needs of many homeless New Yorkers and others struggling to afford housing in Manhattan. This project brings new permanent housing in a district with very few affordable units, making it possible for those housed in shelters to move on to permanent homes. The stability this design will offer will be an asset to the community. Project Renewal is an important partner and has the skills needed to provide holistic care to homeless people. They offer shelter, medical, job training, and housing, all of the things necessary for people to recover from the crisis of homelessness and join you in the community as productive neighbors. I hope you will welcome them to continue working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. That's perfectly timed. All right, Jesus, who is next?
All right. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Next on the list is Ryan Pukos from the Grand Central Partnership Business Improvement District. He will be speaking to us also on the topic of the new Providence ULURP application on tonight's agenda. Mr. Pukos, you will have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to read a brief statement of support on behalf of the Grand Central Partnership. The Grand Central Partnership is a business improvement district serving an approximately 70 square block area in Midtown East surrounding Grand Central Terminal. As one of the world's largest bids serving a district with 73 million square feet of commercial, residential, and retail building space, our goals are to keep our Midtown East neighborhood clean, safe, and thriving. We believe that Project Renewal's New Providence Project supports these goals in the following ways. First, the New Providence redevelopment will transform what is currently an aged city-owned facility into a beautiful state-of-the-art building that will activate the streetscape and create 130 deeply affordable and supportive housing units. The supportive housing units at New Providence will provide homes for formerly homeless New Yorkers and will specifically target chronically homeless individuals. Based on our ongoing work with Breaking Ground, our frontline homeless services provider and one of the city's largest providers of supportive housing, we know that it can be very difficult to move these individuals from the street to housing when a supportive housing option is not available. And second, New Providence will feature a public-facing health clinic serving mostly low-income New Yorkers. We plan to work with Project Renewal and Breaking Ground to coordinate outreach and share data to ensure the street homeless New Yorkers, especially those living in our district, as well as others in Midtown East, know that the health clinic is a resource available to them. For these reasons, including the benefits to quality of life for the street homeless in our district, we are supportive of the New Providence Project. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right, next on the list, we've got Cynthia Stewart, who is the Chief Operating Officer of the Supportive Housing Network of New York. She will also be speaking regarding the New Providence ULURP application on tonight's agenda. Ms. Stewart, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Cynthia Stewart, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the Supportive Housing Network of New York. And we're a statewide organization that represents 200 nonprofit organizations that maintain and create supportive housing. I speak today on behalf of the network to express our strong support for the New Providence redevelopment and to ask that CB6 also be supportive. For those of you who are less familiar, supportive housing is deeply affordable housing with wraparound social services like case management and occupational therapy that provide homes and stability for the most vulnerable in our society. The New Providence redevelopment will transform what is currently an aged city-owned shelter into a beautiful state-of-the-art building that will create 130 deeply affordable and supportive housing units and a health clinic serving low-income New Yorkers. At a time when the city is facing dual housing and homelessness crises and is looking at the end of the eviction moratorium, it's more critical than ever before that we all work together to ensure that we create new homes and say yes to every opportunity to make a dent in the shelter census. Additionally, Project Renewal is a highly respected nonprofit and a beloved member. They have operated the shelter in this neighborhood for decades and have been a responsible neighbor and partner. I can think of no better provider to lead this development to create new housing opportunities that can help permanently end homelessness for New Yorkers in need. Thank you, Community Board 6, for providing this opportunity for me to express my strong support for the New Providence Project.
All right, thank you, Cynthia.
My pleasure.
All right, next up on the list, we have CB6 member Ann Seligman, who tonight will be addressing us in her capacity as a resident of this district. She wishes to speak about the closing of the Grand Central Library. Ms. Seligman, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin.
I won't take that long. The introduction mostly kind of said it all. I think there is maybe not a lot of awareness in the community that the Grand Central Library is slated to close. I think Keith Power's office is kind of paying some attention to this, but if you are a resident of or a member of the community and use that library and you want it to stay open, get in touch with the library, get in touch with the electeds, and let's see how we can keep it open.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you. Incidentally, Anne, I've reached out to NYPL Intergovernmental Affairs and asked them if they would please confirm that. They're still sort of telling me that they'll get back to me. They'll get back to me, but let's see what they say. The next on the list is a duo, actually. Christina Torres, a resident of this district, and Jennifer Fanelli, who resides in another district, wish to speak together on the State Senate Bill S5215, a bill that focuses on instruction in food, agriculture, and nutrition in elementary and high schools. Ms. Torres, Ms. Fanelli, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin.
Hi, good evening. My name is Christina Torres.
And I'm Jennifer Finelli.
And we're here to advocate for the support of Senate Bill S5215. The purpose of this legislation would be to include instruction on food, agriculture, and nutrition in the statewide health curriculum to promote healthy eating behavior in students in New York State elementary and high schools. We both have an affinity towards health and nutrition and believe it is extremely important for the youth to have these resources in order to live long, healthy lives.
The current COVID-19 pandemic saw a vast majority of school-age children make the sudden switch to remote learning. In New York City alone, 52% of public students, around 500,000, were forced to make the switch to protect themselves and their families from exposure. In the time since, students have been removed from the physical classroom and transferred to the virtual, where we are seeing a negative impact on their overall health. Removing students from schools removed accessibility to key factors of staying healthy, such as physical activity and nutritious eating. Physical education classes and extracurriculars that kept students active were no longer available. The pandemic reduced opportunities for physical activity even outside of school times in terms of sports and playtime outdoors. This lack of access to healthy foods, guaranteed meals, and encouraged physical exercises had led to a serious increase in sedentary activity that will affect the health of all children negatively. We will see an increase in childhood obesity, diabetes, and heart disease later in life. Passing Senate Bill S5215 will ensure students not only have access to important nutritional education, both virtually and in the classroom, but ensure that they truly understand its importance in their lives. It can give a support system when other options are limited.
And relating to social media and nutrition, it's no secret that social media and advertisements may be filled with false claims and information. More specifically, false claims and misinformation surrounding nutrition are particularly damaging to our youth. As a nutritionist myself, I know firsthand that miseducation of nutrition can lead to, like Jennifer said, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, excess stress, poor body image, and eating disorders. So this Senate bill is sponsored by New York State Senator Kevin S. Parker of the 21st District. And in the State Assembly, this bill is sponsored by Assembly Member Linda Rosenthal. And we would like this community board to support it as well. And thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Christina and Jennifer. And if you could email me, we will connect you with the chair of the Youth and Education Committee to add this as an agenda item in a future meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the list, we've got Alexis Simonetti, a resident of another district, but who would like to speak to this board on State Legislature Bill S1571, focusing on medical assistance coverage for medically tailored meals. All right, Alexis, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin.
think we might be having,
Hi.
oh, there we go.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Good evening. My name is Alexis Simonetti, and I am here as a food security advocate on behalf of low-income, chronically ill New Yorkers in need of medically tailored meals. I'd like to bring attention to a bill that's currently in the New York State Senate. That is Bill S1571. Passing this bill would be a great start to addressing chronic disease and food insecurity in New York, and it's really a way to start treating food as a medicine within our healthcare system. Currently in New York, over 40% of individuals have at least one chronic condition, and 1 out of 10 households in New York are experiencing some degree of food insecurity at this time. So at the intersection of these two issues, there is a population that's in need of life-saving, medically tailored meals. However, these meals are coming at a really high out-of-pocket cost, and they're currently not covered by most insurance plans. So medically tailored meals, they are healthy meals that are tailored to the condition of the individual. These are meals that could be prescribed or recommended by a doctor, created by a dietitian, and subsequently delivered to the patient's door. So these studies are showing that these meals can really reduce hospitalization rates. In a cohort of around 800 participants, they've reduced hospitalization rates by 63%, reduced ER visits by 58%, and they correlate to an overall reduction in healthcare system costs. So this bill will really be a win-win for both patients and the healthcare system as a whole. As a food security specialist operating in a clinical setting, I meet with many patients who could really benefit from these meals. Many patients or caregivers can't afford to invest the time and money into preparing balanced meals for a number of reasons. Maybe a worsening condition caused an individual to stop working, or a family could not qualify for food stamps and now they're living off of a very low food budget. Even for patients who do have the safety net of family, these meals can still help manage their condition and reduce their hospitalization rates. But alternatively, for some patients, these meals are really a last resort. I've spoken to elderly patients who struggle each month living off of a small Social Security check, having to cover rent and basic expenses. Without free medically tailored meals they had received through local grants, many have stated to me they would not be able to afford to eat at all, let alone eat a balanced meal. So for this reason, I wanted to bring awareness to the New York State Senate Bill S1571 and ask you all to support your local state senators about this issue. This bill would amend the current New York State Social Services law and include medically tailored meals as well as medical nutrition therapy under a list of services covered by Medicaid. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Next on the list, I have to apologize. I inadvertently skipped over someone. My apologies. Our next speaker is Sonia Persaud, a resident of this district who wishes to speak to the board on State Legislature Bill A4526 regarding food insecurity. Again, my apologies, Ms. Persaud. You have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin.
Hi, that's totally okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, members of Community Board 6. I hope you all have had a great day so far. My name's Sonia Prasad. I'm a new resident of CB6 and also a food policy reform advocate. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to attend this meeting today. I just want to take some time to talk about Assembly Bill A4526, a bill that recognizes the need to dismantle food insecurity occurring within our state by proposing a food security empowerment and economic development program, which is also known as SEED. Currently, food insecurity is significantly higher for those living in New York City at 28.3% compared to those residing in the rest of the state, which is 20.5%. Due to the continuing impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, New York State's food scarcity rate was higher than those in reported neighboring states for nearly every month after March 2020. SEED will benefit struggling working families and the communities, provide new markets for family farmers, create food-based jobs and small businesses, and ensure healthier citizens and neighborhoods. SEED will also authorize grants for community-based nonprofit orgs and local governments, subject to the availability of funding, of course, in order to create self-sustained projects. I urge everyone here to speak to reach out to local assembly members and their elected officials to help advocate for the passage of this bill, because it's still in the Assembly Committee, so that we can build a stronger, healthier New York for all those who live here. Thank you guys for all listening to me.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Soki Lee, who is representing New York City Clean volunteers and wishes to discuss the work of her organization. Ms. Lee, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Saki Lee. I am speaking on behalf of NYC Clean volunteers. Ken Gray and I are the founders, and we have assembled a core group of concerned New Yorkers. We go out regularly to pick up trash in Rose Hill, Gramercy Park, Flatiron, and the East Village. The sheer volume of garbage on streets, parks, and abandoned and neglected buildings is insurmountable. We don't blame the sanitation department. We want to partner with them. We find trash cans overflowing into sidewalks and streets. We need more and better receptacles and signs to remind people to dispose their trash responsibly. Questions: why are people not fined for littering? Anyway, since the pandemic, we have been going to Madison Square Park every morning to practice Tai Chi. We see leftover food and garbage on tables and on the grounds of Shake Shack, and they are not even open at 8 a.m. in the morning. That is how we met our cleaning partner, Mina, who was walking her dog dressed very fashionably, picking up litter with tongs. Encouraged by meeting Mina and like-minded people, we formed NYC Clean volunteers. Ken, my partner, cleans Bellevue South Park by himself daily from 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. Mina regularly sweeps and pick up in the Gramercy Park area. Our team cleans weekly, and we do pop-up cleanups too. It is truly satisfying to see the transformation after we clean, and the positive comments from the people on the street helps too. Ken and I both work full-time, and we put in a tremendous amount of time, and we have learned a lot in the field. We have insights and ideas that we'd like to share with the community. We pay for our own equipment and supplies out of pocket. We need funding for cleaning carts, supplies, trash bags, safety vests, etc. We are on Facebook. We do need more volunteers to help clean and to blast message in the media, TV, Instagram, public service announcements, and signage. We are NYC Clean volunteer. We'd like to partner up with elected officials, sanitation department, businesses, and other community groups. So thank you for listening. I hope that somebody would reach out to us. And my name is Saki Lee, and my partner is Ken Gray. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That concludes the list of public speakers.
All right, thank you, Jesus. All right, so the minutes from the November 10th full board meeting were distributed to board members ahead of time by the board office. If there is no objection, we will adopt the minutes from that meeting. Board members, if you object to adopting the minutes, please raise your hand through Zoom. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the November 10th full board meeting are adopted. They will soon be available on the CB6 website. All right, now to discuss the chair's report. So the first thing that I want to do is go through some housekeeping updates. So the first thing is there was an update to the open meetings law that Jesus and I discovered a couple of weeks back regarding minute taking. In the modernization of the open meetings law, the governor did allow that transcripts and recordings of the meetings could serve in lieu of actual minutes. We discussed this at our last executive committee meeting, where we discussed that we would still like to have some type of record of a meeting summary to ensure that there was a proper paper record of what was going on in the meeting, so that even if someone did want to refer back to a video recording, that they could do so with some knowledge of what was discussed, at least at a summary level. So that's something that we're discussing. I'm putting together a template that we will then share with committee chairs for their input and feedback as well. But if anyone else has any feedback or ideas on that, please attend our executive committee meeting where we are discussing issues like that. Next up, another issue that has popped up at our executive committee meetings over the last several months is something that was spurred out of the discussion of updating the open meetings law, which is that we should also be updating our bylaws, modernizing those as well. So over the last couple of months, we've discussed this. Committee chairs have provided their feedback and input on what they would like to see changed as well. And from that, we have created a bylaws committee. So I would like to announce that tonight. So the new bylaws committee will be chaired by B. Disman, with Sean Sherman as her vice chair. Also on this committee will include former full board chairs, Rick Eggers and Sandra Sherrod. And we'll also be joined by board members, Adam Hartke, Seema Shaw, and Maura Wall. So I want to thank B and Sean for their leadership on the board and for willing to take on this additional responsibility. And I want to thank the rest of the members as well for their time and input on this as well. So again, to all members of this board, if you are interested in participating in that conversation, you can do so even if you are not on the committee itself. The committee is still forming when they would like to meet. So once that has been finalized, that will be up on our public calendar so that everyone can see when they are meeting. Another update for the community is many of you might have known that we've been dealing with an issue with Washington Irving campus for many, many years now. First, it was the construction, and now it's sanitation. We do have a positive development. Jesus and I have been working very closely with school facilities, the school maintenance staff itself, to find a solution to the issues that they've been dealing with, which has created a sanitation issue. We're pleased to announce that school facilities confirmed last week that they will be moving their garbage away from residents' front door and will be moving their tow trucks to the inside of their facilities as well. They needed some help with sanitation times, pickup times, as well as clearing out some of the facilities themselves. So we were glad that we were able to spur that connection and get those services rendered. So we're very happy to see that. It will take about a week or so for the changes to be implemented, given that this is an operational change. So we look forward to that improvement in the district. But I want to thank everybody who's been working on this for many, many years. And I especially want to thank the community advocates who brought this up and have been fighting tirelessly for it as well. Next up, as many of you may know, we were talking about it a little bit before the meeting started, but this weekend on the 11th, which is Saturday, is the return of SantaCon. So I know some of you are rolling your eyes about this, but the list was officially revealed earlier this week. Rest assured, we are on top of this. Claire and I sent out an email to the establishments that appeared on that list to be very strict about what we expect of them as good operators and respect to the local community and to their neighbors, and have informed them that any infractions or incidences will be part of their evaluation as their licenses come up for renewals. We've obviously had many issues on this SantaCon in the past, but this year is a little different because we're still not yet out of a pandemic, and we want to make sure that none of these establishments become the epicenter of a super spreading event. So that is our highest concern, because it doesn't just affect the patrons and the staff of these establishments, it also affects the community around them. So that is of our highest concern. We have sent out the email already to those specific establishments, and we hope that SantaCon comes and goes as quietly as possible. And then before we conclude, I know that there are a number of electeds who are joining us tonight or were unable to because it is the end of the year, but some of them are term limited and won't be presenting at future board meetings in that same capacity. And so I just want to say a quick thanks for their service over the past several years. Many of them are 8 years, 8 years ago when they first came into office, and Their contributions have meant a lot to the board and to all of us individually as well. And so we thank them for their service in public office and look forward to their contributions even after office. It'll just be a different capacity in which we are working with them. So I do want to say thank you to that. And last but not least, happy holidays to everybody. I hope everyone stays safe, stays well, and of course has fun and is relaxing. So thank you, everybody, and I'll turn it over to Jesus.
Thank you, Kyle. And speaking of term-limited elected officials who have been with us for 8 long years, I'm informed that we are joined by our departing Madam Borough President. Kyle, would it be okay if she delivered some remarks?
Yeah, absolutely. Borough President.
Thank you, Jesus, and thank you, Kyle. Excellent report. And if you could solve all of Ms. Block's concerns at the high school, Washington Irving, you deserve a gold star. So congratulations to both of you. That's huge.
Thank you.
A couple of things. First of all, something that I should know, but there are 22 of these fulfillment centers now in Manhattan. I think there are some in your area, but if not, there will be. And these are very discouraging. They are warehouses in commercial districts, as far as I'm concerned. They just started popping up. And basically, you can order from them on an app. You cannot go in the store. They actually put the bicycles and motorbikes in the store at the end of the night, which is kind of weird. And they say you have to get your food in 15 minutes. So every time there's like 3 issues that are concerning. Number one, they are in a non-conforming zoning district. As far as I can tell, out of the 22, we think only 3 are legitimate. But again, we've written to city planning. We're waiting for a meeting with DOB and city planning. Number 2, the bicycle lists, i.e. delivery people, we are all complaining about them going too fast in general. What an incentive to go faster. And that makes no sense to me. If I order food, I have no worry. They take as long as they want because I don't want somebody to get hurt. And I want people to follow the rules of the road. So that's the number 2. And then number 3 is, what about the bodegas, the delis, the grocery stores? Because these companies are all owned by large corporations. The one that Gorillas all over the place, owned by a big hedge fund in Germany. So you get the picture. And it's like, you remember how other disruptors showed up? Nobody in the city did anything. And that's exactly what's happening now. So I just want to bring those to your attention. Number 2, again, a challenging in the Wall Street Journal. No, I think it was in the one of the papers today. I can't remember which one. Maybe it was just the city, but fabulous Katie Honan wrote the article, and it basically says that during the worst of the COVID, which we all remember, those of us who were here and you were, the data from the Department of Health was not given to the public until quite a bit of time after it was officially available. So I mention this because, previous governor did this with the nursing homes, and I am concerned about data. As you know, I'm kind of a nut on it because I think that it has to be available to the public in order to help plan. So I just think that this might turn into something a little bit more. I think we should be asking for data constantly, and if we don't get it, we need to make a big deal of it. So I want to bring that to your attention. I also want to mention that we're going to be still dealing with congestion pricing. That's going to come up faster than we think. And I think the good news is that I know Community Board 4, as I understand it tonight, is passing a resolution in support of Christine Berthold as the person who should be on the Traffic Mobility Review Board. You're going to be, particularly Board 6 is going to be challenged by people who are going to be upset about it, generally in more ways than one. So I think we have to pay a lot of attention to the person who is appointed, and has to be somebody from the city from Manhattan. I also want to mention in terms of hotels, I know that I must admit I've been pushing, and you've been very good about, if we have a good nonprofit and if we have a place that is in an appropriate location and it's a hotel that's vacant and it's not going to be a hotel again, and I could go on and on with what it's not going to be, then we should definitely have the opportunity for permanent. I don't want any transitional housing. So the issue is there are apparently law department prohibitions at the moment, and to the credit of Carlina Rivera, she has a bill to reverse that. So there are several nonprofits right now who are not able to convert to permanent affordable housing, perhaps for seniors, because of this challenge that the law department, this monkey wrench that they have thrown into it, despite the fact that attorneys, very good attorneys for the nonprofits, think there is no such problem. So I just want to bring that to your attention, because we really need this affordable housing. And if it's done correctly and if it's permanent, I think people appreciate it very much. I also just want to mention that pay attention, as I've said before, to the great money that AG James got in terms of the OI points, because the next mayor is going to have the opportunity to spend it. And I think you're certainly part of the Midtown crisis in terms of those who need support in terms of substance abuse. So it's $276 million, and some of it should go to you. I know that the Rockefeller Center may not all be in your district, but I just want to thank Keith Powers and the city, because we do have, I can see, I was just there last night, one wonderful opportunity for people to participate in pedestrianization around there. And I would know that the buses are an issue. Every time I mention it, people get upset because they want to make sure the buses can get through there, and that impacts you. But I would like to see that there is opportunity to consider all of that, because people do need to walk around and be outdoors. This pandemic is not going away so fast. Then finally, I just want to say Sunday, December 12th from 2 to 4 at John Jay College, 524 West 59th Street. Hopefully you all know about it. We're going to have our Manhattan Borough President holiday party, and you're all welcome to join us. So those are some of my issues. I want to just say thank you very much, and you're always welcome. 3 o'clock on Tuesday, we continue to have discussions about vaccines and money that's coming to the city of New York. And I also know that many people have asked about the community board membership term limits, and I think you should just ask Brian Lafferty about them. But there is a charter revision about how many years people can serve and some exceptions to April 2020, et cetera. So make sure you talk to Brian, or maybe you have all that information. We're still working on the helicopters. It's like an ongoing problem, but we're not going to give up on trying to get either the federal legislation or get New Jersey to do more than what they're doing, because even during these beautiful days in December, I all day long going up and down the river, but also across Central Park. Thank you very much, Board 6, and congratulations on all your successes.
All right, thank you, Borough President. And again, thank you for your service as the Borough President for the last 8 years. This is kind of full circle for me, because I did meet you when I was in high school and a student at Hunter, when I had zero interest in any of this work. And even though I didn't have any interest in it, you did show, how local was powerful. And I think that's a lesson I'll always take from you. And again, just thank you so much for your time as Borough President, and we wish you the best of luck in your new old venture.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And don't be a stranger to CB6, even though you're outside the district.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you. All right, Jesus now with the district manager's report.
All right, everyone, happy holidays. With the new year approaching, now is a great time to sign up for the CB6 newsletter. It's always chock full of lots of interesting information pertaining to the district, and we're always encouraging people to sign up. 2 easy ways to sign up. If you ever go to our website, cbsix.org, and you navigate away from the site, you will see a little pop-up window that will ask you for your email. Just put it in there and then press the sign up button, as you see here, and you can sign up that way. It only shows up once a day, so if you don't see it anymore, when you get to our site, our homepage, just scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you will easily see the same thing. Put your email address there, click sign up. It will send you an email and ask you to confirm. And once you confirm, then you're signed up. Simple as that. So we work very hard to have a great newsletter that informs the community and keeps you abreast of upcoming meetings or happenings in the district. So please sign up. Encourage your neighbors to sign up if you're signed up. Your entire building, your co-op board, whatever. Get everyone in the district to sign up. Additionally, with the new year, we have put up the dates for 2022 meetings. And if you go onto our calendars page, again, our website, click on calendar, it takes you to the calendar page. You'll see about 6 months worth of dates for every committee. But if you'll notice, all of these have a subscribe button. All of these committees have a subscribe button. If you click on that, you will be able to subscribe on your Google Calendar for the entire year and then some of all the meetings. So you'll always have an up-to-date information on what the meetings are. And it's especially important to keep tabs on the meeting information, especially in the first year, in January rather, because we're still a little up in the air about what's going to happen with the open meetings law, at least until for the first half of the month. We'll be able to meet on Zoom. After that, we'll see. So make sure to sign up for the calendars, make sure to sign up for the newsletters. You'll always be the first to know if you do that. Additionally, I'd like to let you know that we've been informed by the Department of Design and Construction that there will be some activity at the 30th Street Men's Shelter relating to the facade work that has been happening there for a few years at the shelter. They will be doing some drone inspection of the facade, specifically the 7th floor cornice. There will be drones flying around the building. So if you see drones around the building, don't be alarmed. That's what they're doing. If you're aware, drone flights in the city are illegal, but they do have proper permits to be doing that. They just wanted to let us know and let the community know, just in case people saw things that were a little strange and were alarmed. But there's a valid explanation for them. Beyond that, I also want to wish everyone happy holidays, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Jesus. I see we have a couple hands up. And you have a question for Jesus?
No, actually, my question was for Gail, but I think she's left.
Yeah, she had to run. But if you want to ask it to Brian, Brian is still on, if you'd like to ask him.
Sure. So I just wanted to, I was really glad to see that Gail is looking into the dark stores issue. It's so closely related to the ghost restaurant issue, but that link was not made in her online report. So I just wanted to make sure I'm sure you're like, I'm not the first one to make that connection. So, but I just wanted to, point it out.
Thank you, Anne. And Brian, I think you're still on. I'm sure you'll note that.
Yes. I'll get back to you with more information about the ghost restaurants and that associated issue.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Jesus, I see a member of the public might have a question for you. Or maybe for the borough president. Sure.
Ms. Graham, did you have a question? Zandra Graham, your hand is raised. Do you have a question? You may unmute yourself if you have a question.
No, I don't have a question.
Okay, our mistake then.
All right, thank you. So we'll move on to the treasurer's report.
Hi, everyone. This is Brian Van Nieuwenhoven. I am giving a very abridged report after filing a full report with the minutes that details all of our breakouts. We have steady personal services budget deductions, and we have the same situation with rent, which is every 12 days. Our current OTPS budget is 42,255. We have a balance of 40,274 with 1,981 spent or obligated for the fiscal year so far. We also have 119,166 of what we call our street fair funds. And as of the moment, it actually had an additional deposit from some recovered funds this month, but we will continue to call it street fair funds as shorthand. Let me know if you have any questions, and otherwise have a happy holidays.
All right, thank you, Brian. Are there any questions for Brian and the treasurer's report? All right, seeing none, thank you very much, Brian. All right, we've now arrived at our committee reports and resolutions. So in order to conduct an efficient meeting, I want to repeat the ground rules that we discussed at the beginning of the meeting. First, no one may speak until granted the floor. 2, board members, if you have a question or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom before you speak. Again, the chat function should not be used for board business or questions about agenda topics. Any and all such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you're having or to state in writing information, such as an email address that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. Next, when a board member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you as the chair. Next, to the members of the public, please note that during this part of the meeting, only members of the board may ask questions. And last but not least, we're required by New York State law to have a transcript of this meeting, so please keep all questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. Board members, tonight we're again using a digital ballot. The CB6 staff will post a link to the ballot in the chat. Please open this ballot, select your name from the list of board members, and select your vote on each resolution as it is presented. Do not hit submit until later in the meeting after the final resolution has been presented. At the end of the meeting, once you have indicated all of your votes on your ballot, only then should you submit the ballot. You will not be able to submit the ballot unless you vote on every resolution. If you plan on abstaining, please select abstain. Final vote counts will be announced after the second roll call, so please stick around for that. And if any part of our voting procedure is unclear, please raise your hand through Zoom and we will address your question. So please either click on the link or copy and paste it into your browser. And if anyone is having any issues with it, please reach out to the board office as we go along with this instead of leaving it to the end of the night. All right, so we'll now begin with our committee reports and we'll start with public safety. So Matt, you have the floor.
All right, thanks, Kyle. No resolutions tonight from public safety, just a quick report. Last month, we heard from a couple of speakers on different bills in the state that are up for consideration as far as parole eligibility for incarcerated individuals age 55 and older and those who are not deemed a risk for violating the law. Committee did not take any action at that point, so we will revisit that issue in January. We're not going to meet this month, but we're going to meet again in January. And then also in January, the other item, the bigger item that I want to talk about with the board and the committee, and of course the members of the public are certainly welcome to partake in the discussion, is with the new administration coming in, what are the 3 to 5, say, points of action we want to see executed rather quickly from the new administration as far as public safety goes. So this can pertain to quality of life, it could pertain to human rights, pretty much any and all of those topics are fair game there. So if you have any ideas, any specifics, I know it's very broad, but we're really going to try to narrow it down into the key things that are most important for this district. So that's all I have. If there's no questions, we can move on to the next committee.
All right, thank you so much, Matt. Are there any questions for Matt and the Public Safety Committee? All right, seeing none, thank you very much, Matt. We'll now move on to Youth and Education. John, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Kyle. And I don't think they're still here, but I wanted to thank very much the members of the public who spoke earlier I believe Ms. Persone, Ms. Finelli, and just invite you to meetings of our committee. We, at our last meeting, in fact, talked about food in our schools, and we were looking at it as we have in the past from the perspective of, you know, sodium content, fat content, the quality of the food. But there are other perspectives that the public brought earlier this evening that we would really welcome. So if anyone is still here who spoke on that, I would very, very much invite you to attend our meeting. The other issue that came up was food security. In fact, we had a resolution a year ago or so when there was a requirement for schools because of COVID to provide food for students who were not attending the schools, but have it available in a safe manner. And we passed a resolution that asked everyone, that asked the mayor to make that a permanent part of the school requirements. In other words, that they provide food for students every day, whether or not there's an emergency. So that's something else that we've been spending time thinking about. And we would really invite members of the public to, to come and give us their insights. The other things that are on our mind, in addition to those things, which we will be talking about in January, we are very interested that, New York State, as many other states, received a large grant from the federal government in relation to COVID, and we're trying to understand whether it's actually being spent and what delays there might be in relation to its being spent. And so we will have that on our mind as we think about resolutions. And finally, I'm not the mayor's press secretary, but a few minutes before we came on the line on a meeting tonight, Chalkbeat, which is usually reliable in these matters, announced that David Banks, a former principal who helped launch a small network of public schools that primarily serve boys of color, young men of color, will be the next leader of our school, nation's largest school district. And Mayor-elect Adams is expected to make that announcement tomorrow. He founded the Eagle Academy Foundation, which supports 5 schools in the city and 1 in New Jersey. And I'm sure we'll be hearing much more about that tomorrow, but that now appears to be formal. So I will, in the interest of brevity, stop there, but do invite members of the public to attend our meetings. And we had a very good meeting last month with the chair of Rich Mintz, the chair of the Housing and Homeless Committee, and we're looking constantly for ways to collaborate in relation to services to students in temporary housing and meeting their needs. So I think that's a good ongoing collaboration. And I'll stop there.
All right, thank you very much, John. Are there any questions for the Youth and Education Committee? All right, seeing none, thank you very much, John. We'll now move on to Budget and Governmental Affairs. Rick, you have the floor.
Thank you, Kyle. As a holiday gift, I'll waive the report and just say we hope everyone's enjoying the holiday season as it's already started, and we'll continue to enjoy it as long as possible. So have a good holiday, everyone.
Thank you so much, Rick. You as well. All right, we'll move on to the next committee, Health and Human Services. Elvie, you have the floor.
Thank you, Carl. Good evening. I would like to invite everyone to join us in our Health and Human Services Committee meeting tomorrow. We have 2 leading speakers, Dr. Julian Watkins from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, who will be speaking on racism as a public health crisis. And Dr. Naomi Sodi, an assistant professor at the CUNY Graduate School of Public Health and Health Policy, who will be speaking on the New York Health Act. That's all. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you, Elvie. Are there any questions for Elvie in the Health and Human Services Committee? Again, if you look in the chat, you'll see links to register for all of these meetings. So if you are interested, as our committee chairs discuss their agendas, please sign up and subscribe. All right, I'm not seeing any questions for you, Elvie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to housing and homelessness. Rich, you have the floor.
Thank you. We just have one resolution this month, and it's in regard to the new Providence development project that we heard some public comment on at the beginning. In a very brief, an existing homeless shelter in a crumbling orphanage is being redeveloped into a modern facility for single women with a shelter on the lower floors and with supportive and affordable housing on the upper floors. About 50 of the 130 affordable housing units will be open to the public via lottery with a 60% AMI. So we're getting 50 units of affordable community housing for free as part of the development of this project. I note that the building itself is buildable as of right. The only things that this resolution concerns are the legal formalities of conveying the property so that it can be operated as a shelter. We had a presentation from the development group and the operating organization at the housing committee, and we voted in favor. And so we've presented this resolution for the full board to endorse.
All right, thank you very much, Rich. Are there any questions on this resolution, 5A? All right, we have a couple of questions. First up, Lou, go ahead. Lou, I think we're having, oh, Lou, you're still muted. Still muted, Lou.
While we wait for Lou, we should mention that the development team is present tonight in case they are needed to answer any questions.
I forgot about that. Thank you.
Yes, as well as members from agencies, HPD and DHS as well. So while Lou is figuring that out, B, do you want to ask your question?
I put my hand down because I was going to move the question. I was going to call the question.
Okay, let's
Call the question.
Oh, okay.
That's what Lou is doing, and that's what I'm doing.
So you can second it.
I'll second it.
All right, fantastic. All right. So everybody, please go to your digital ballot and mark your vote for 5A. Those of you who are not using the digital ballot, we will ask for your vote verbally during the second roll call. Please make sure you are not hitting submit at this time. All right, and while people are making their vote, Rich, do you have a report for us?
I do not, other than to say that we were all riled up as a committee to do some public education around rent relief, and then the rent relief funds ran out the night before our meeting. So that will not be happening unless the funds are renewed. The only significant issue on the table, I asked Senator Krueger's office about this earlier in the meeting. The eviction moratorium expires on January 22nd, and the new session of the legislature begins on January 15th. And we don't know yet whether any legislators are going to carry a bill that would extend the moratorium. And so we're interested to hear about that. And if we get any news on that, we'll report to you at the next meeting. The only other thing I'll say is that we are canceling our Housing and Homelessness Committee meeting for December, which is next week, because it's so close to the holidays that it doesn't seem worth meeting since we have nothing pressing to discuss. It can't wait till January. So have a good holiday season, everyone.
All right, thank you for that early gift, Rich. Right, and seeing no further questions, we'll move on to the next committee, Business Affairs and Licensing. Claire, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Short agenda today. I see in the chat.
Yeah, Brian, do you want to make
say
a
it
motion?
out loud.
Brian? Or
Sandy?
Sandy?
I just had one question about the about Lagos restaurant. And maybe I can just ask it now and then we can bundle. Did someone actually come and present at the meeting then from the establishment?
Yep. So this time someone did come from the establishment with their lawyer. So yeah, they were there at the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Is anyone, I see a lot of chatter about it, but is anyone going to make a motion? Don't be shy.
And bundle.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
Okay.
Okay. So everybody, please go to your digital ballot and mark your vote for 6A, 6B, and 6C. And once you mark your votes for those resolutions, please do not hit submit. Those of you who are not using the digital ballot, we will ask for your vote verbally during the second roll call. And Claire, while they do that, do you have a report for us?
No, not a huge one. Just want to say thank you to Kyle for spearheading the letter that went out to the establishments that seem to be planning on participating in SantaCon. We'll see how that goes this weekend. And then I just wanted to add the note of vaccine requirements that are expanding in December. So adults have to be fully vaccinated in order to go indoors, and now children from ages 5 to 11 will be required to have at least one dose. So there's been a lot of talk about that between businesses, and I just wanted to alert folks to that change. And that's about it. We are going to meet as of now on the 22nd. But if for the people I don't see, I wish you a happy holiday season.
All right. Thank you very much, Claire. Are there any further questions for Claire in the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee? All right. Seeing none. Thank you very much, Claire. All right. I believe the report for the Transportation Committee is waived. So we will move directly to Land Use and Waterfront. Sandy, you have the floor.
Great. We have one resolution. Atlantic Aviation came to us again with a slightly modified request for what they were looking for. And it's in the resolution. Very, very specific items that they asked us to review.
So are there any questions on 8A? Stuart, I see your hand up. You have the floor. Stuart, I think you're still muted if you're trying to speak.
Okay, sorry about that. Thanks. I think I have two questions. One is the resolution conspicuously expresses aspirations for improving the adjacent nominal greenway, which is really just a narrow raised junk-ridden strip. But the resolution acts only on the heliport operators' priorities. And I think it's good for the board to express aspirations, but it feels like we're going to give away what Atlantic Aviation wants, and then maybe in return someday we'll get some goodwill when we press for benefits for the community. So I wonder why it seems to me anyway, we're delinking what the heliport operator wants from what we want for the district. And that leads me to my second question, which is, what are the possible ways the committee's considered to fix the problems with the greenway there? Because if, for instance, the best and maybe only solution is to move that building, which looks to me like it's a temporary and portable structure, then we should integrate into a single plan both what Atlantic Aviation wants and what the community needs. So in sum, why should we lose our leverage? And why should we risk losing the efficiency of a cohesive, unified plan?
Stuart, actually, we don't have any leverage, unfortunately. And we do have several resolutions on record of our concerns with the heliport. They have, I believe it's a 10-year lease, and it was negotiated by the EDC. So this particular resolution deals just with something that they are presenting to the Public Design Commission, and it is very, very specific scope. So during our meeting, we had, yes, many people express concerns about this area, but so that's why we felt it was good to show our aspirations. Unfortunately, this is not something that actually has any teeth with Atlantic Aviation. It's something that we need to comment for the Public Design Commission. So it's actually, if we don't respond, they'll go ahead and approve it anyway.
All right, thank you, Sandy. Are there any other questions on 8A, or does anybody want to call to question? Claire?
Call to question.
All right, thank you. All right, everybody, please go to your digital ballot and mark your vote for 8A. And once you mark your vote for 8A, you can hit submit. And for those of you who are not using the digital ballot, we will ask for your vote verbally during the second roll call. And for anyone who is having issues with their digital ballot, please message the board office through Zoom so that they can help you while we finish up with our last committee report. Thank you.
Actually, next on our agenda for land use, we have a community planning fellow who's going to give a brief report about what they're doing for our committee and, well, for the whole board. And it's Karen McCobb, and I'm going to butcher this, Malloy. And I know that Kavitha has been working with him to go through some of the aspects of what he's looking at. I don't know, Kavitha, do you want to mention anything at this point, or do we go right into Karen's presentation?
I think Karen can just go ahead and present. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for introducing me. I'm going to share my screen. Can you all see that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool. So yeah, it's really nice to meet all of you. I am Kieran Mickle-Malloy. I'm a master's student at Pratt in urban planning. And I'm with the Fund for the City of New York, which runs this community planning fellowship. And I was placed with CB6 to work on this project about evaluating and strengthening the 197A plan that you all, or a predecessor of this board worked on, that was passed in 2008. So just to refresh everyone's memories, because I know that was a long time ago, it was adopted in 2008, but it took like most of the 2000s to create it. So it was a very long process. And the plan really focused on the waterfront, open space, and also like the nexus between those two things. So access to the waterfront and recreation, and then also large scale redevelopments that were on the table at the time. And there's a pretty mixed record of recommendation implementation. So for example, there's been a lot of progress on things like the East River Greenway, which is now slated to be completed through CB6. But then, for example, the plan talks a lot about the Second Avenue subway, which has gone nowhere since 2008. And then also many things have changed in the district since 2008. So for example, since Hurricane Sandy, especially, there's a new awareness of climate vulnerability and the risk of coastal flooding. There's also the East Side Coastal Resiliency Project, which is currently being constructed around Stuyvesant Town. And then there's major redevelopment projects on the horizon, with some of them still stalled. So for example, the plan talks a lot about the Sheldon Solo development site, which is still a big pit in the ground. And then also since 2008, there have been some shifting ideas for how we use our streets and other open spaces, some of which have been brought about by the pandemic, for example, open restaurants, and then others just kind of like with the evolving ideas in planning about prioritizing pedestrians and bikes, for example. So my role as the planning fellow is to kind of research some of these questions. So what parts of the 197A plan have and have not been implemented? How can CB6 push to implement the remaining elements of the plan that haven't been implemented yet? What big changes have occurred in the district since 2008? How have priorities for the district changed since 2008? And then how should all of this and how should these changes inform updates to the 197A plan if it were ever to be updated? And to answer these questions, I'm working like for the duration of the school year, basically. So I'm in the November to January phase right now, which involves reading and understanding the plan, which I actually just finished doing because it's very long, including understanding what has been implemented, creating a neighborhood demographic profile, including neighborhood changes, and then just generally learning about relevant planning and land use issues in the district. And then from February to April, I'm planning on identifying focus areas for the report that I'm going to create at the end. And right now, I'm very personally interested in climate resiliency, streetscape, and open space issues. So that's kind of like what I'm interested in focusing on. And then I'm also going to be conducting case study research to narrow in on recommendations and analyzing political pathways for key recommendation implementation. So I'm not sure if there's any time for this right now. It's great if there is, but also you can feel free to reach out to me. If not, my email is kieranTMM@gmail.com. But these are some questions I have for you guys on the board that would help me with my research. So what are some important ways that the district has changed since the 197A plan that you'd like to see reflected in my work? Are there certain unimplemented or partially implemented recommendations from the plan that are a high priority for the committee or the board as a whole to see progress on? And then how would you update the 197A plan for 2021 if you could? So yeah, that's my presentation. And again, it's really nice to meet you all.
All right, thank you so much, Kieran, and welcome to Community Board 6. We're very excited to have you on board. This is obviously something we've discussed for a very long time, so we're really happy to have an expert in this field go through it as well with fresh eyes and perspective. And again, thank you to Sandy and especially Kavita, who will be working very closely with the fellow, Kieran, as well as to Wells. And Kavita, I see you have your hand up.
Just wondering if there is time, if anybody has any specific questions for Kieran, if we have time to field a couple. I'm not sure if anyone, I didn't see any hands up, but.
Yeah, if there are a couple of questions, feel free to raise your hand. And of course, please continue to go to land use meetings because this is also a great opportunity for you to delve into the committee work there. But Anne, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, not so much a question as like perhaps I misheard you, but I believe I heard you say something about the East River Greenway is right on track. And as somebody who lives on East 46th Street, I don't think that's true. So maybe we could have a kind of further conversation about that offline, as to where there might or might not be funding, um, for actually closing that gap in our district.
And
Yeah.
Anne's referring to the UN, the gap at the United Nations, I believe.
Yeah, thank you for letting me know. I was just kind of responding to what I've read in like Gothamist about funding in the budget, but definitely I'm not, you obviously know more than me.
Not sure I do, so that it would be great to talk.
We're all learners here. So, all right. Are there any other questions for Kieran?
And I just wanted to note that we will be discussing this definitely at land use. We also have canceled our December meeting, and but we'll be taking this up again in January and looking at some of the other revisions to zoning that are happening citywide. So thank you, everyone, and have a great holiday.
Thank you. And yes, I would just like to reiterate what Sandy said. Please go to the land use meetings to have these discussions. I know these are topics that we have conversationally, but please direct them to the land use committee since we now have an expert. All right. All right, seeing no further questions, we'll move on to environment and parks. Kevin, you have the floor.
Thanks, Kyle. I'll touch on one of the agenda items from last night's committee meeting. As before the start of tonight's meeting, I received an unexpected, but as it turns out, welcome phone call from the Manhattan Parks Commissioner. Now, we reported last night that last Thursday marked the start of an initiative co-crafted with Partnership for Parks for volunteers to help NYC Parks keep the St. Martin Park lawn and garden thriving. As a reminder, this is the most ample public park green space in the East 30s. Now, this came out of the second meeting that Partnership for Parks held about the formation of a Friends of type group for the garden or the full park or possibly a broader area. For each weekday morning through at least February, we have at least one person in the garden to help keep the area tidy, including cleaning up any litter and handling any needed raking. I do want to recognize Elisa DeVito, who long worked with the St. Martin Preschool on helping maintain the garden before the trial period was approved. It's been nice seeing Elisa in the garden more than one morning since the initiative started. We appreciate the gardening tips she has shared and look forward to more from her. In a previous committee meeting, the City Parks Department announced that for the first time in decades, the St. Martin Green Space would be open to all on October 8th for a 2-month trial period. Now, it did open on that date as promised, but that 2-month trial window closed at 6 o'clock this evening. So at last night's committee meeting, we asked whether the garden has successfully passed its 2-month public audition and qualified for a permanent role in the city for all to enjoy. As mentioned before the start of tonight's meeting, I did receive a call from Manhattan Parks Commissioner Bill Castro. We covered a lot of ground, pun intended. We talked about rainwater, how to garden when factoring in the slope of the green space and other unique maintenance elements of this parcel. We agreed that the volunteer gardening group will continue into the winter. We agreed that the group will continue to work with the city's Partnership for Parks to be part of a group that's in development. We agreed that based on our recommendation to have a thriving space open to all for today's and future generations, it makes sense to follow his lead in the support of Chief of Staff Steve Simon to close the garden for 3 to 4 months. Now, this is important because this will allow a long-term plan to be in place. And now for my favorite part of the phone call, Commissioner Castro confirmed that the winter will be used to prep the green space going forward for, wait for it, public use. This is an important message for the community. We thank NYC Parks and the many community members who got us to this point. This includes parent leadership at PS 116 and PS 281. That's the River School across the street from the garden. Some of those who have worked with the St. Martin Preschool have also provided their support of getting the garden ready for its public debut following the 2-month trial period. Big kudos to them. We learned today that the planned date for the opening to the public is April 6th, but the commissioner added on our call that we may be able to have it open in March. For anyone who wants to talk about the vision for the garden, I will continue to be working there in the 8:45 to 9 a.m. slot each weekday morning through February. Please stop by or contact the district office if you want to be part of the group to keep the garden ready for a long and healthy public run for many generations. Just so you know, Parks has rakes, bags, grabbers, gloves, and other needs to make the space, make the cleanup really easy. I've been there for 5 days and it's also been a lot of fun. Happy holidays to all. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you very much, Kevin. Are there any questions for the Environment and Parks Committee? All right, seeing none, I'll just conclude with thank you for your leadership on this, Kevin. When I was first elected last year, this was a big priority for us, was returning green space to this community, particularly with the district with the lowest amount of green space in the city. And this could not have been done without your leadership and without the leadership of the community advocates that you had mentioned. So this, again, truly is grassroots leadership, and really appreciate your work on this.
And thank you to you. Thank you to Molly for her support when she was outgoing. Thank you to everybody in this committee, because I do think it's a milestone day for the community. Thank you.
All right. With that, we'll now move to old or new business. So board members, if anybody has old or new business to state, please raise your hand through Zoom. Okay. Seeing none, we'll now move on to the second roll call.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. Just bear with me as I pull up our table. Okay, we do this backwards. So Claude Winfield. Ronnie White.
Present. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you, Ronnie. You too. Maura Wong.
Present.
Brian Van Nieuwenhoven.
Present.
Corinne Vanderdonk.
Present.
Okay,
Present.
Thank you. Mark Thompson.
Present.
Anju Suresh.
Present.
Thank you, Anju. Susan Steinberg. Susan? Okay, Letty Simon.
Present. Happy holiday, everybody.
Thank you, Letty. You too. Sandro Sherrod.
Happy holiday. Still here.
Thank you, Sandra. Sean Sherman.
Here. Have a great holiday.
Seema Shah.
Present.
Lou Sapersky.
Yo.
Ann Seligman.
Present.
Lawrence Shayer.
Present.
I'm
Jean-
here. I may have missed my name.
Oh, yes, you did. That's Susan. I got you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Gene Santoro is excused. Matt Roberts.
Present.
Reshma Patel.
Present.
Stephen O.
Present.
Kevin O'Keefe.
Present.
Rajesh Nayar.
Present.
Philip Napolitano. Okay. Richard Mintz.
Present.
Wells Magali. Sandra McKee.
Present.
Kavitha Matthew.
Present.
Anton Malner.
Present.
Sandra Leftoff.
Got it. Present.
Okay. Abigail Cruzmark.
Here, have a good holiday.
Thank you. John Keller.
Present.
Paige Judge is excused.
Happy holiday.
Oh, Paige. All right. I'm sorry. I thought you were excused. I apologize. I've marked present. Thank you. Molly Hollister.
Here.
Okay. Adam Harkey. Andrew Gross. Eric Goldberg,
Present.
Charles Fernandez,
Present.
Richard Eggers,
Present.
Jeannie D'Onofrio,
Present.
Beatrice Disman,
Present.
Dan Devine.
Present.
Oh, thank you, Dan. Mark Devereaux. I'm sorry, Michael Devereaux.
Present.
Stuart Desser,
Here.
Jim Collins, Claire Brennan.
Present.
Thank you. Matthew, I'm here. Elvie Barroso,
Present.
Marty Barrett. Martin Barrett. Neil Barkley,
Present.
Asya Body, Kyle Thide.
Present.
Okay, thank you.
Like too much, and then how much is not?
All right, so we'll wait for the vote count.
Okay,
Matt, you'll want to make sure that everyone has submitted their ballot.
all right. I may need help figuring that out, but let's see here. It looks like we have all of our ballots on number 5A.
Oh, we're missing one.
Interesting.
Kevin O'Keefe?
I'm here. I thought I hit submit. Let me check it out. Thank you for the heads up.
I've got 40 ballots and 40 in attendance. So, Jesus, if I can read this off.
Once you start reading, Kevin will no longer be able to submit his ballot. So we want to give him just a couple seconds to sort that out.
Okay. I see, yeah.
There it is.
All
Fine.
right.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Kevin, Jesus. So on 5A, we've got 39 in favor and 2 abstentions. That resolution or motion carries. On 6A, we have 41 in favor. 6B, we also have 41 in favor. 6C, there are 39 in favor, 2 opposed. On 8A, we've got 38 in favor, 2 opposed, and 1 abstention. And that is the vote tally.
So everything passes.
Everything
All right.
passes, yeah.
Thank you very much. All right, so seeing no further business, if there are no objections, we will adjourn the meeting at 8:50 p.m. Okay, happy holidays, everyone. Please, again,
Holidays.
stay well and stay warm.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.